Pemmican Oyster Stout is a pretty unique beer for Marshall Wharf Brewing Company. It is a stout that we brew with oysters in the beer itself. We actually put 10 dozen or one full bag of pemmican oysters, which come from Damerscott, Maine, into the beer. The Oyster Stout is one of about 5 or 6 stouts that we brew throughout the year, but this particular stout is our most complex. This beer had to get federal approval because we put a known allergen in the beer, and after we explained how we actually brew it, they were fine with it. This beer looks like your typical stout. Very roasty, a fair amount of chocolate malt in there to balance out the salinity of the liquor of the oyster that drops out when it's in the boil. A lot of roasted malt, a lot of chocolate malt, very complex. This beer gets some minerality from the calcium in the shell. It also gets the salt from the liquor of the oyster. The actual oyster doesn't enter the beer.
I used to brew a beer that had lobster in the name, and when David asked me to brew an oyster stout, I greeted it with a lot of trepidation. I wasn't sure that I really wanted to deal with that, but it is a legitimate style, and it was something that was always done, so I decided to give it a try. But I thought, we're going to have briny oysters, and to deal with the salt, I felt like we ought to have a nice complex stout as well as one that's slightly sweet, so we matched the grain bill up to deal with that. And in this beer, we have put more complexity in this stout than any other stouts that we make, and it's come off nice and sweet with some chocolate notes, some caramel notes, and I think overall it's well balanced. We haven't hopped it too heavily. We put Columbus and Simcoe's in there, and I feel those are really big hops, but the beer stands up to it, and it really doesn't highlight the hops, but it gives the bitterness and the slight amount of flavor we want from them.
Roasty, chocolatey. Oh, very nice lacing on the glass. Just a very fine stout. Comes in around 6% alcohol by volume, so a little bit stronger. But again, Dan McGovern has done a wonderful job of balancing the salinity of the liquor, the minerality of the shell, and creating quite a complex stout. I believe there's 6 or 7 different malts in this beer to balance that out.
This is an excellent beer, and I think it'll be around for a while. We've had a lot of people request this beer. We've had people come in here from far away that want to try it, and I suspect it's just to compare it with some of the others that are around, although there aren't very many of them.
It's delicious.